Most people spend their entire lives working hard and dying broke anyway. Not because they earned too little, but because nobody taught them this. There is a financial operating system most Americans have never once encountered. It does not come from Wall Street or any best-selling financial book. It comes from a culture that has been quietly building wealth for centuries. While America celebrates loud money, Japan has been whispering a different secret entirely, and that secret has nothing to do with income investing apps or side hustles. 2 years ago, I sat at my kitchen table completely financially embarrassed. Credit card statement showed $4,100 charged that single month. My savings account showed $812 sitting there total. I earned $63,000 a year and had almost nothing saved. 6 full years of decent income and essentially zero real wealth built. That realization did not just sting, it genuinely terrified me to my core. Then I stumbled onto something buried inside a Japanese budgeting article that week. Japanese grandmothers had been passing these exact money habits down for generations quietly. No financial apps, no complicated strategies, no expensive courses teaching the same recycled advice. Just 10 deceptively simple principles that rewired how entire families related to money. Here's the part that hit me hardest, and I need you to hear this. Japan and America have almost perfectly opposite relationships with money and wealth. In America, wealth is loud, visible, posted, celebrated, and constantly being performed publicly. New car means congratulations, and a new wardrobe means you are doing well apparently. In Japan, displaying wealth openly is considered tasteless and even slightly embarrassing socially. There is a Japanese concept called setsumashi, meaning modestly reserved with deep social respect. The quieter and simpler your lifestyle, the more genuinely admired you become in Japan. In America, living quietly makes people assume you are struggling financially and falling behind. That one cultural difference explains almost everything about why so many Americans stay broke. I applied these 10 Japanese principles one at a time over 12 months carefully. Same job, same salary, same apartment, same city. Completely different financial results entirely. 12 months later, my savings went from $800 to $19,000. Not from earning more, but from finally running a different financial operating system completely. This video is that operating system, and every principle inside it will challenge you deeply. Stay with me, because what comes next will completely change how you see money forever. The first principle is called Kakeibo, and it is over 120 years old. A Japanese woman named Hani Motoko invented it in 1904, specifically for financial control. She designed it so ordinary households could take complete control of their own money. The system requires nothing except one notebook, one pen, and about 10 minutes daily. Every month you write 4 things down by hand before spending a single dollar. Income coming in, fixed expenses due, savings target set, and remaining spending money available. Then every single night you write down exactly what you spent and where it went. Each purchase gets sorted into one of only 4 categories and nothing more than that. Needs, wants, culture including books and experiences, and unexpected expenses covering everything else remaining. At the end of every month, you ask yourself 3 brutally honest questions only. How much did I actually save? What went well? And what genuinely needs improving next month? That is the entire system, and its radical simplicity is precisely why it works so powerfully. Here is what separates Kakeibo from every budgeting app sitting on your phone right now. Writing by hand forces your brain to consciously process every single purchase you made today. When you tap your card, a number flashes briefly and your brain barely registers anything. When you write DoorDash $42, your brain finally processes what actually happened here. You made a deliberate choice to spend $42, and that choice was a want. Practitioners consistently report Kakeibo reduces unnecessary spending by up to 35% every month. My first month using only this notebook, I reduced my spending by 22% immediately. On my salary, that single $3 notebook saved me over $1,100 monthly. If this principle alone is already making you think differently, please subscribe right now below, because the next 9 principles go even deeper and they get more powerful from here. The second principle is called Mottainai, and it has no real English translation at all. Mottainai is an emotional feeling, the genuine discomfort that arises whenever something useful gets wasted. In Japanese culture, wasting anything of value is considered almost morally wrong on a deep level. American households waste roughly 30% of every single dollar spent on groceries annually. That equals approximately $2,100 thrown directly into the garbage every year. I track my own food waste for 1 week by photographing everything I discarded completely. Forgotten spinach, leftover rice, ignored expired yogurt, a quarter of a rotisserie chicken, all gone. I was silently throwing away $40 of food every single week without realizing it. That equals over $2,000 leaving my life annually straight from my own refrigerator. 3 months after applying Mottainai, my grocery spending dropped nearly 30% without feeling restricted. Mottainai extends far beyond food and reshapes your entire relationship with everything you currently own. You repair instead of replace, and you fully use something before even thinking about buying again. Japan has a tradition called kintsugi, where broken pottery gets repaired beautifully with actual gold. The repair does not hide the damage, it becomes part of the object's real beauty. Apply that mindset to your financial life and watch how your spending completely transforms forever. The third principle comes from Okinawa, home of the world's longest living people on Earth. Hara Hachi Bu means stop eating when you reach 80% full and not beyond. Applied to money, it becomes the single most powerful savings philosophy you will ever encounter. You live as though your income is 80% of what your paycheck actually shows. That remaining 20% is not restriction or sacrifice. It is margin and it is wealth. America's personal savings rate sat at roughly 4% as of early 2026 officially. Japanese cultural habits like this one consistently target and achieve 20% savings rates nationally. On a $60,000 salary, that gap means a difference of nearly $10,000 yearly. Over 30 years at 8% returns, at philosophical gap becomes $1.4 million. Hara Hachi Bu applied to money is not a budget strategy. It is deep self-respect. It is telling your future self clearly that I deliberately left something real here for you. The fourth principle is Kaizen, and it explains why every dramatic financial makeover always ultimately fails. Kaizen means continuous small improvement, and it works because it bypasses your brain's fear response entirely. Your brain's amygdala activates hard whenever you attempt any large, sudden change in your behavior. That is exactly why people slash budgets aggressively in January and quietly abandon everything by March. Kaizen says improve by only 1% this month and then repeat that again next month. Reduce dining out 10% this month, increase savings 1% the following month only. 12 consecutive months of 1% improvements produces a financial life completely unrecognizable from before. The fifth principle answers the question that no budgeting app or spreadsheet ever actually asks you. Ikigai translates roughly to your reason for being, and it transforms your entire money relationship permanently. Most Americans either accumulate money without purpose or spend money without any real conscious intention behind it. When you know precisely what your money is genuinely for, every financial decision becomes absolutely clear. Purpose makes willpower completely unnecessary, and that is the most underrated financial truth in existence today. The sixth principle is wabi-sabi, and it is the direct antidote to relentless consumer culture. Wabi-sabi is the genuine appreciation of things that are imperfect, impermanent, and beautifully incomplete still. In America, imperfection is always a reason to replace something, and the economy is built on that. The consumer economy depends entirely on your perpetual dissatisfaction with things that still completely work fine. Americans spend roughly $9,500 yearly on appearance-driven replacement purchases they never needed. Reducing that by 25% through wabi-sabi redirects over $2,000 annually toward wealth. At 8% returns over 25 years, that mindset shift alone builds $183,000, built entirely from learning to find genuine beauty and satisfaction in what you already completely own today. Quick question before continuing: what secretly costs you money every month without providing any lasting value whatsoever today? Do not answer quickly, because your first guess is usually wrong and often hides the real financial problem. The seventh principle is shibumi, and it rewards quiet excellence over display while encouraging deeper, long-term financial discipline. Shibumi teaches that true sophistication requires less attention and more substance instead of chasing endless validation everywhere. People chasing status symbols often sacrifice freedom just to impress strangers who rarely care as much. Wealth grows fastest when nobody feels compelled to prove anything publicly through expensive purchases or appearances. The eighth principle is gaman, and it strengthens patience during uncertainty, helping people stay committed longer. Gaman means enduring temporary discomfort without abandoning long-term goals prematurely whenever challenges inevitably appear. Most financial mistakes happen when emotions overpower logic during stressful moments, causing expensive decisions and regret. Patient investors consistently outperform impulsive decision makers across decades of compounding because discipline beats excitement. The ninth principle is Ma, and it focuses on intentional space, creating room for wiser choices. Ma teaches that empty space creates clarity, balance, and better decisions in nearly every area. Financially unnecessary purchases often fill emotional gaps rather than practical needs, leaving satisfaction surprisingly short-lived. Creating space between desire and purchase dramatically improves spending decisions while reducing costly impulse behavior. The 10th principle is ubaitori, and it eliminates destructive comparison, helping people focus on themselves. Ubaitori reminds us every person's timeline unfolds differently and independently regardless of outside expectations. Comparing your finances constantly guarantees dissatisfaction regardless of actual progress, because comparison constantly moves goals. Real wealth begins when you measure growth against your past self instead of everyone else. If even one principle challenged you, subscribe before forgetting it and missing future insights. Like this video if wealth matters, and comment your answer below right now before leaving.